Hey everyone, my name is Kabi, and today I'm gonna show you the game of mine. Actually, this week I just didn't have enough of the good battles suggested from the players, so I opted to just show my own game. I'm not sure if it even was cool, but I just wanted to take a look what did my opponent do, so I was somewhat interested in the after battle review. So why not make a video, I thought. And I can also remind you guys, so if you wanna share your own battle with me, if you think your battle turned out to be really cool and spectacular, you can join our Discord server and go for the share a battle channel and drop us a screenshot from the replay, not the battle results, but from the replay or from the battle itself. And then drop a couple of lines of why you think that game was cool and why you think it would look good on video, it would be interesting to watch. So we can consider it, take a quick look, and if you like it, we can make a video. You can become somewhat a famous person on this little YouTube channel, which I hope will grow bigger someday. Speaking of which, please don't hesitate to give us a like if you enjoy the game and the videos I make, because this way the more players, the more people on YouTube will find out about it, because the more like the video has, the more will YouTube algorithm promote the videos. So we will have more players, little queues, less queues, better matching, and stuff like that, so obviously that is all for good. So anyways, my opponent here is Captano. I believe we played on the Asian server, so this must be somewhat an Asian folk. We just added a South Korea to the game, so I'm actually scared of the famous Korean RTS players. Probably this guy is one of them, maybe not. I didn't check, honestly. As a part of the dev team I can obviously check, but I did not yet, haven't yet. And we both play light faction. We recently made the light faction stronger, somewhat. I'm not even sure if it is considered weaker now. Honestly, I just go play light and I go play dark and I switch after each battle. I really enjoy play different factions. But what I do in this game is I'm trying my best to scout what did my opponent do. So I decided to play somewhat a normal game. So I wanted to scout. And now I see that here is the 2-Rex Dwarven Forge, which leads us into the Dwarven tech, and many Warsmith, obviously. And what I'm gonna do about against that will be Paladin, and then probably it would be a good idea to actually add the Copters, because Warsmith do not hit air up, of course. And the hero of the Dwarven tech does that, but it is not that quick when my opponent will get a hero, because he spends a lot of wood on the Warsmith and the 2-Rex, so it takes time. But for now I don't even build any units, I'm just going for the Altar of Heroes and Paladin, and then I decided to go for the Sanctuary, not the Factory actually. Alright. I played the game, I believe, yesterday, so probably I don't recall all the decisions really well. So I decided to go for the Elemental, and by the way, don't ever do this. Don't try to retreat with a swordsman, because it keeps burning and it dies anyway, but you just don't attack for 5 or 6 seconds while you try to run. So it's just better to sacrifice the guy, but the other guy will probably survive at the cost of this. So my opponent decided to go for the lower chest and I'm going for the top one. It could be a situation where I would lose both of them, but I'm a bit lucky that my opponent didn't make an attempt to steal one. I only saw one Warsmith, by the way, so when I was playing I thought that he stole it with just one unit. And in the meantime, here we can see the sanctuary, no heroes whatsoever, and apparently my opponent is supply capped. He forgot about a second farm. And I did not, so I have way more food to work with. And I'm keep spamming units, adding actually a knight. Now that I think about it, I'm not even sure that the knight was a great call, because the opponent has a warsmith who is decent against the knight. Probably I just thought that it would be a nice combo with the paladin, a lot of armor, stuff like that. But I'm not too sure about this. Probably when you see the warsmith, you rather wanna go archers, because the warsmiths are vulnerable to the piercing damage. So I'm engaged and I can see him having quite a bit. Probably it would actually go way better if I would send a paladin in the front lane, but I also noticed the artillery tower, so what I learned here is that I actually don't want to engage. Idyll is a very old map, the old-fashioned map, and here there are two very close high grounds, which makes assaults very hard. So without Bombardier or the whatever it's called, Ballista, you don't really want to assault on the map like this. So this is the reason why I actually go factory, also the third tier of the castle. Lately I'm trying to make this third tier as quick as I can, but I'm actually still lagging behind the opponent, so it seems that I failed this time around. He was behind me with the second farm, but with the third he's way ahead. And I also, without any attempts of my opponent, I just got the mid chest. So I'm probably even going for his elemental, and here on the map I feel like I'm way ahead and my opponent is way behind. It is my perception of this situation. What we can see here, in fact, is that I'm 7 food behind, because I'm late with that last farm. It is only going up now. I'm also adding the second barracks to be able to respam the units when I will be maxed out. I also have the Dwarven Forge. I thought about the Bombardier, but actually I'm not recruit 2 yet, so I believe I must be recruit 3 to be able to build the Altar of Heroes of the second tier, to be able to summon the 2 heroes. So now I can only summon 1 hero, even though I have the 2 heroes, but I must choose whether I wanna build Paladin or the Bombardier. And my opponent literally don't even go out of his base. So he just sits back, 4 foot to be maxed out, seems like a good army, a couple of guardsmen, a good staff, good thing against my knights, and he's not really even going up. So he's going down now, and I'm thinking, oh my god, this guy, he finally ready to fight, but now you can see that he really has quite a bit, so probably I should not really fight in that position. So I try to sort of regroup, but my army is so weak. I have 4 healers, 4 swordsmen and a paladin, while my opponent has 4 guardsmen and also 4 warsmiths. and 3 healers too. His army was just bigger and better. And now that I'm looking, I can see no reason to fight. But I decided to commit, so I will obviously lose everything. I'm also trying to micro with my knight, who's trying to finish off the healers. Also healers start healing just each other, so it is the good stuff anyway. They are not saving the units, but he had way more than me. And also one swordsman killed a couple of units here. I was able to cut it eventually, but I think that probably I should have waited for those helicopters, because my opponent literally has 0 units to attack air. He starts doing them now because with that warsmith he saw that I'm building the helicopters. So I should have probably stopped building the helicopters, but it is still an interesting question how to actually overcome this. Because if I go sort of the knights against the archers, then I would be caught with his guardsmen. So I'm not even sure. His army is so well diverse that probably there is no simple decision. I play in the Recruit League for a couple of months now, and many opponents on this level obviously are clueless and they don't really know how to play the game and how to mix the units, and all I need is to literally make the better units and win. And here that I'm looking, I can tell that I can just make the better units and win, so probably I should not give these stupid fights here like I did on the top level corner. And I really need to sort of mirror what the opponents doing, because his army really looks good to me. So I'm starting to add a bit of ballista, and then I still proceed for the helicopters because I don't see the option to overcome the melee units with what I can just reinforce. So I'm trying to handle the archers to then kill the melee units with the helicopters. And it might work, of course, but he actually has 3 archers here, so that is a bit too much, and probably I'm just not being able to even block it. So the game doesn't even last long enough for the enemy to take the elemental. And obviously he could just pull back and take the elemental. So what the enemy did is he just was not fighting, because he saw that I maxed the poor units in the beginning, and since the map lets him do that, he safely retreated to the main base, and here on this map it is very close from the main base to anywhere, because the map is so small. So here it is probably a great strategy to not commit into any fights if you don't go the early units, and you don't really even want to go the early units, because you want to get better units instead and fight a bit later. And if enemy will rush you, then welcome, fight in your own base. And I really think that my opponent just did the better strategy. He decided to pull back eventually. I'm not really sure why. Probably because he was a bit scared that the numbers went low and he decided to make it safer, so he applied for the elemental. I remember that it was appearing here in this corner. During the game I didn't really realize that he had that many, so I thought that probably he lost all of his army, and probably there is a possibility that he's not tapping his icons good enough, so he could have been floating high and resources and not having any units, but not the case as we can see. So even though the ballista does a great job, the opponent will still obviously take the summon and stall. I'm trying to drag it, and I rally my paladin inside the capturing area, but the paladin alone can't fight that long. I like it though that even though there is the wall in, we can actually still fight. Because if you remember, we started off with a summoning stone appearing in the middle of the map, so the players were just building stuff near that, and it was nearly impossible to overcome that. So here, even though it is equipped with towers too, there is a real possibility for me to fight on either of the spots where the summoning stone may appear. And actually I like it how the warsmith work, and the ballistas does a great job too. Probably I wasn't doing the greatest job though, because somehow I didn't reinforce with everything at once. If I did, who knows, because I was almost able to even clear it. See how we are nearly equal in supply. I believe that I was just pressing the buttons better, because I am low on money, very low. I spent everything and my enemy didn't spend everything, so he was just missing the cycles. And it is still not enough, so I probably played a little bit better in this regard, but it's just not enough, because our game is not that hardly mechanical dependent. Of course it requires some, but it is not even close to somewhat StarCraft 2 mechanics, where you really need to press hell of a lot of buttons every 3 or 5 seconds, or you will be lagging back in micro. You don't need to do that in War Legends, you just need to press it probably once in 30 seconds, but you still need to remember about that. I did, but the decisions I made, the strategical decisions, were just poor. So I just played worse, because I didn't face good opponents for 4 weeks in the Recruit League, and finally here is a guy who was able to punish me for the rookie mistakes. So congrats to the Katana, and the game is pretty much done, so thank you guys for watching. Share your thoughts about this one, and share your games on our Discord server, so probably next Sunday I will be reviewing your game instead of my own, and I hope to see you there. Bye bye.